For All the Dogs has finally been released. But was this Drake's magnum opus? Or did we all listen and walk away feeling like nothing was the same? We'll find out right here today on my review on InCrowd Network. Let's go. What's up, guys, and welcome back to InCrowd Network. I am Aaron, and like I said, we're here to discuss the most recent release by Drake. Everyone was waiting for this one, and to a degree, it actually feels like this was one of his most anticipated releases ever. Even though every time Drake releases an album, it is highly anticipated, there was something about this one that just felt even more anticipated than all the others. And I'll tell you right now, nothing is really different from this album to Certified Lover Boy, Scorpion, Views. There's a point where Drake's sound changed, and I don't think we're ever going to get that old Drake again, so we should stop expecting that. And we should also stop judging his music by those previous ideals. I don't think we're ever going to see that version of Drake again. So let's jump right into For All the Dogs. For All the Dogs is his most recent release, and this thing clocks in at 1 hour and 23 minutes long. It's one of the longest Drake albums, and quite frankly, it feels as if there's a lot of filler material on this album. It feels as if they've done what they needed to do to just hit those streaming numbers and get big numbers up on the board. And it did that because from my understanding, he has over 7 of his songs from that album in the top 100. Actually, I believe it's in the top 10, but that's a different story for a different day. We're not here to talk about the numbers. We're here to talk about the music itself. The album opens up with the track Virginia Beach, which a lot of people felt like it might have been a hit towards Pusha T, but this is just a weak intro to the album as a whole. A little singing, a little bit of what Drake does here. It is one of his weaker intros. I actually expected a really hard-hitting intro for an album called For All the Dogs, but it was very soft. This, as a matter of fact, the album as a whole kind of has a more soft feel. Like, this is an album that I would have expected around the Certified Lover Boy era. It doesn't sound like something for the Dogs. But beyond that, we have tracks here with 21 Savage. There's Party Next Door. There's J. His son, Adonis, even makes a little bit of an appearance on the album where he does a little rap towards one of the tracks ends there. We've got SZA, and SZA shows up on a pair of tracks. The first track called Slime You Out, which is what really introduced this album to us. I am not a fan of this track. It's another slow, rhythmic, Drake sounding track. It really, there's nothing that is appealing about this track at all. The second track that SZA shows up on also features Sexy Red. It's got a hard-hitting beat. I actually like it. It's really catchy. It's something that I can see going off in places like strip clubs and stuff like that. I can definitely see that happening. Outside of that, there's not too many tracks to really speak about on this album that really make you excited for it. All in all, it really feels like an album filled with a bunch of filler tracks. He even has a timestamp track on this album, 8 a.m. in Charlotte. And if you know Drake, you know that those timestamp tracks are usually where Drake goes. This is where Drake starts to rap. And he does rap on 8 a.m. in Charlotte, but it is not like our previous timestamp records. I mean, just go listen to 5 a.m. in Toronto and then go listen to 8 a.m. in Charlotte, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There's a certain level of vigor. There's a certain punch scheme. There's a cadence, even the beat. This should not have been a timestamp track. I'm actually very disappointed that he would take a series like that where he has some of the best raps he's ever written. I'm disappointed that he would name this one of the timestamp tracks. It feels as if the timestamp is dying off, just like the quality that we've expected from Drake in the past. It almost kind of goes hand in hand. There's a track on here with J. Cole, which in my personal opinion is the best track on the album. That is the standout track on the album. And while Drake does do a good job, J. Cole completely consumes him on this track. Drake, he does his thing. He raps. It's good. It's acceptable. But what J. Cole does shows you that J. Cole is still writing at a high level and is probably not yet at his peak. He continues to prove to us that he is a stellar MC, and he's going to continue to do that track after track after track. There's a point where the beat switches and Drake starts to rap again, and then he goes on to just call out a bunch of female names. How do you switch the beat and then just call out a bunch of female names after J. Cole does what he did right before you? It just doesn't add up to me. But again, this falls in line with what's happening on this track, on this album as a whole. There's not too much here that I can honestly say that is appealing about this album. It's a ton of music, but it's not a ton of good music. There's a track on here called What Would Pluto Do? And on that track, I will have to say, I really do like the rhythm. I do like the singing. I like the low down tuned pianos. Everything about that track works. And that's about it for me. There are probably a total of about 4 or 5 tracks on this 23 track album that, in my opinion, are even worth listening. So I'm going to come in with a 4 out of 10 on this album. I don't know what to say. It's not what I expected from Drake. And even if it were not what I expected and it were a good album, I would still say that. But all in all, this is not a good album. This is something that I would expect from an artist like Yachty, who does appear on this album as well. It's just not the level of rapping that I would expect from Drake. It's not even the level of singing and R&B that I would expect from Drake. There's a lot of it appears that he's got a lot to get off of his chest, and that's all that he does on this album. He's singing about Rihanna. He's singing about lost loves. You can clearly tell there's some tracks here that he's going after Pusha T, but he's not going at him in that sense. It's just time to get away from all the hurt feelings and the emotions and just put out a good album. I don't know that we'll ever see that from Drake, so why even bother waiting for it? Quite frankly, this was a very difficult listen for me, and it's questionable whether or not I will ever listen to another Drake album. It really does not serve me to continue to listen to music from this artist. There's nothing that talks to me anymore as a listener. But there are tons of fans out there that this album still speaks to, because the thing is going to sell over, I believe it already, the numbers already came in, and it's over 400,000 sales on its first week. So his fans are his fans, and they're going to keep listening. But for people like me, who's a fan of music and not so much a fan of Drake, this is a very disappointing album. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Please go ahead, leave your comments down below. Was I too hard on the album, or did I hit the nail on the head? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? If you did like it, what did you like about it? If you disliked it, what did you dislike about it? Go ahead, sound off in the comments below and let us know. Again, I am Aaron. This is InCrowd Network. Thank you for sitting with me through this review. Check out all of our social media contents. Check out all of our other posts. And just check out all of the content that we upload here for you guys. We're trying to build a community. Again, thank you for checking this out. Until next time, peace.